and welcome to All Things Service Podcast with Nick Lambert. I am, of course, Nick Lambert, and today I actually am in the great state of Montana, and I am blessed to be able to continue a conversation with Miss Kristen Herbold, and she is here joining me live, actually in studio on location. We tried to schedule a couple different times, and just our schedules and internet challenges and everything else. And she was coming through, and I happened to be up here, and I said, hey, why not we do this in person? So we're here today actually live. So if you see both of us looking like we're looking out in the distance, we're actually looking at each other, not directly into the screen. So you might get a little bit different view on it. But at the end of the day, it's not how we look. It's what we're saying that we hope matters to you. So Kristen, how you doing?
Good.
Good.
Excited to be in Montana.
Yeah.
Best state.
And you got up really early this morning from North Dakota to make the trip over here.
At 4 a.m. And I'm like, my husband will laugh when he hears this because I am not an early riser, but he's always like, you're not good at getting up early unless you have somewhere to go. Like if I have to get up for a trip, I'm like up and out of bed.
Same. Yeah. But if I got to just get up, it's like, no. I'll set my alarm at like 6 o'clock and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get up. I'm going to go do a cold plunge. Then I'm going to do hot, rotate my hydrotherapy. And my alarm goes off at 6 o'clock. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to make another hour, maybe another hour and a half. Because for me, I love sleep. I love sleep.
Important.
It is important. Sometimes my mind is going so much that in the middle of the night, I'll wake up and I can't sleep. And so I have a book coming out. When I was writing the book, I'd wake up at 1, 2 in the morning sometimes, and I would grab my phone and I would literally just start jotting notes down because I'm like, ooh, that's a good segue to this. That's a good bridge to that. Oh, I should talk about this. So I did that back and forth, and that actually that was a big thing because it kept me awake at night. And so I kind of felt like I was sleep deprived, but I felt like my creativity might have been at its best at 2 in the morning as well. So
yeah, but then you need to catch back up on that sleep. So
Yeah,
if you're sleeping well.
yeah.
I'm the same way because I'd be like, oh, I'll remember that. It's like something I need to do or what an idea. I'm like, I'll remember that in the morning. No, never. So yeah, you have to write it down when you have the chance.
Exactly. Well, and it's if you listen to a lot of musicians, a lot of their inspiration comes in the middle of the night, and they'll get up and they'll go down to their studio and they'll start writing. And I'm a huge Van Halen fan, and some of Van Halen's best music, Eddie Van Halen would get up in the middle of the night. He'd start picking at something right next to the bed. He'd go into the studio and he'd record it. Whether or not he was going to use it or not was irrelevant. He would record it, so he had the tracks laid down because oftentimes he'd forget it later in the afternoon. So
Yep. Then you have it.
Then you have it. Exactly. So you're coming through Billings because you're headed up to the mountains and you've got a retreat going on with some of your associates with Arbonne.
Yes, and thankfully a great friend of mine is graciously loaning us their beautiful home to use. So
yeah, well, it sounds like a pretty good guy. I'd be careful to give him a too high of a moniker this early, but well, that's exciting. What are you planning to do up there?
So we're just it's kind of like I always say about Arbonne trips, it's fun because it's like basically a work trip that's just hanging out with your friends. So we're gonna go to dinner tonight, do some training, do some content, just kind of like hanging out, bonding. Because a lot of the girls, some of them also are coming from North Dakota, some from here, and they don't always get to see each other, or some of them haven't met. And so if they're not able to make it to like our conference in Vegas, it's nice for us to be able to get together in like a more small setting together as a team, and get to know each other and just hang out.
Yes.
And, they come with questions to ask me to talk about. And you're
in a different environment where it doesn't feel businessy. It feels like it's that, I don't want to use the term safe space, but you're in a safe environment where everybody's just kind of laid back and that chill is on everyone. So you're probably getting a lot more personality coming out and everything than you would just even at a show in Vegas.
Yeah. And it's like, even when we're in Vegas, you break off into little team things, but it's still really like, it's busy. It's so fun. It's just a different type. It's obviously a totally different atmosphere.
Sure.
But yeah, this is fun because it's just quiet, intimate, and I don't want to sit there and have it be like, 24 hours straight of training. It's like, I want to help them with what they're wanting help with. And like,
yeah, absolutely.
Just hang out. And it's fun because you really kind of like end up working with some of your very best friends.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
And you probably make some just lifelong lasting friendships.
Yeah, truly. Some of the people that I have become my closest friends, even if some of them don't do Arbonne anymore, are people that I met because of Arbonne. And the ones that still do it and don't anymore, it's really crazy to think about like not knowing.
Isn't that so cool?
Mhm.
Yeah, I've met some of my best friends in life through business. And just in going to some of these conferences and you do some of these breakout sessions and you start talking, you realize, okay, I've got a lot in common with this person. And yeah, so one of my best friends that I have who lives in El Paso owns a restoration company down there. I met years ago, and it was one of those things. We were in a breakout session and we just started chatting. We're like, man, you're a lot like me, and I'm a lot like you. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's really cool. So you headed up there today, and then short trip because you're gonna have to go back to North Dakota.
Yes.
Yes.
Short trip and detour to Bozeman tonight.
Oh, you're going to Bozeman tonight.
Yeah.
Are you going to Bozeman for a jewelry store opening?
So that was the original plan. I
Uh-huh.
won't be there quite in time for it. So
Okay.
we're gonna still go have dinner.
Nice,
And
nice.
then I'll make it back here tomorrow night, brunch with my like longtime best friends Sunday morning, and then back home to North Dakota.
You are packing a lot into a few days, so
It'll be fun.
which I did the same thing last week. Last Friday I flew into Vegas. My cousin and his boss, or I think they're actually friends, but his boss, we went to WrestleMania, and it's like going to Comic-Con for some of these people who are into comics and stuff like that. It was 3 days of geek wrestling fest, you
My
know.
brother would love that.
It was so much fun. We had a great time. I got to meet some pretty cool famous people, but the thing that was it was just go go go, and we didn't even have time to like go do anything else in Vegas. We pretty much there's a wrestling event going on, a meet and greet. We're gonna go do that. We're gonna go to the show that's tonight. We're gonna go to the next show, and we just did that all weekend and ran on very little bit of sleep. I got in Monday morning up to Montana, and I was just exhausted. I think I'm still catching up from that. So I'm moving my daughter down to Texas this weekend. She's transferring to finish her degree down there. And so I'm moving her to where our home is now down there. And so I get a lovely 22-hour road trip with my daughter. So there won't be a lot of sleep on that either. So.
Yeah, we're both getting a lot of miles in.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. Well, when we talked last, before we ran into all these technical difficulties, we were starting to talk about we visited about Arbonne, health, wellness, fitness, how important that is to you, why it's important. Because I think sometimes people don't understand that for something to be deeply rooted in you, like your health and your fitness, there's usually a reason why you love it so much.
Yeah.
And I know that we talked, and you grew up golfing a lot. You have golf rooted in your blood, and I assume that's because of your father.
Yep, my dad and my grandpa.
Okay. Grew up Colstrip?
Yes.
Yes. So the
Yep.
golf course out there.
Yeah, and then even so my parents are both from Lewistown.
Okay.
And my dad grew up on a ranch outside of Lewistown. And it's funny because my uncle, so my dad's sister's husband, kind of introduced my grandpa to golf. And it was funny because he started like out in his pastures of his ranch. And of course, at that time, back in, I don't know, probably in the 80s, all these other ranchers would like see my grandpa out hitting golf balls, and they're like, "What is happening?" But
That's
it
awesome.
worked out so well because it was something that we did together for you can do that your whole life,
Right.
And my grandpa did golf his whole life, and so did my dad, and like so many of my memories with them are on the golf course or watching golf or something that involves golf.
And you played golf in high school.
Yeah.
I think we talked about that in the last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting. And you still golf, I assume?
Yes.
When you get time.
But yeah, the last couple of years haven't been as much because my husband golfs too. It's one thing I haven't beat him at yet. He's just like one of those people who's just good at everything right away. He golfed when he was younger too, but not as much as me.
Sure.
So yeah, now that the kids are a little bit older, they'll be 4 and 6 this summer. They can actually, come with us now. We got them little golf clubs, and honestly, in our backyard, they can even start practicing this summer because we have a big backyard.
I love it. So we've got your grandfather who rooted tradition into your father, and your father rooted tradition into you, and now you and Heath are rooting tradition into your kids for golfing, and it's something the whole family can go out and enjoy doing, where you're getting some exercise, you're having a good time, you're getting some sun, and you're doing something that really kind of honors a family tradition.
Yeah, slightly infuriating sometimes, but
Yeah. Yeah.
And my brother and his kids golf, like it really is a big thing in our family. And it's actually, we do now, since it's been almost 2 years since my dad passed, we did a memorial golf
I saw that.
for him. And now we've done cause. We're probably going to do, like, we're doing a different cause this year than we did last year to do just different things that were important to him. Just to get people back together to like remember him, where he loved it at. And we put a bench on the golf course, on the hole that he had his hole in one.
Oh,
So that was pretty cool.
that is awesome. And is that in
Colstrip?
in Colstrip?
Yep, on the first hole.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh man. I've golfed Colstrip before. This has been many, many years ago. I actually have a good friend from high school who still lives in Colstrip. We didn't have a lot of time. So I hit like an 88. I know enough about golf to know the scores and stuff. But I came back to Billings, and one of my, a mentor to me, his name's Bryce Katie. He's also a friend of mine. Bryce's son is an amazing golfer. And I mean, this kid's like 10 years younger than me, maybe even 15 years younger than me. And Bryce is like, well, you know, Brady can give you lessons. And I'm like, no, I don't need lessons from a kid. Well, this kid could teach me anything and everything I would ever need to know about golf. So I was telling Bryce, I was like, yeah, I was up in Colstrip golfing, and Bryce loves to golf too. And he's like, oh, that's great. He's like, what'd you hit? I said, well, you know, I didn't do too well. I said, it was my first time. I did 81. I shot like an 81 or an 83. And he's like, Nick, that's not bad for your first time. And I was like, and he's, you know, kind of giving me praise and stuff, you know. I mean, that's a good start. And I was like, Bryce, that was 9 holes. That wasn't 18. And he looks at me and he's like, yeah, you might not want to do that anymore. So, so that's my fond memory of Colstrip's golf course.
To be fair, our course is like kind of,
it is.
People are like, oh, it's just a little small Eastern Montana town golf course. No, that I played it, you know, growing up. So you get used to where you hit pretty much every time on every hole. But people would come for tournaments in high school, and they're like, there's water on what, 6 or 7 of the 9 holes. Like it's kind of tricky, for sure.
And if you've never golfed before, and it's really tricky. But we had a great time. And of course, now you have a bench there to honor your father.
Yeah.
You mentioned you lost him 2 years ago. Was it expected? Was it unexpected?
This sounds like a weird answer, kind of, but like a little bit of both. He had
Sure.
had issues leading up to that, just wasn't expected to be at that point.
Sure.
Really.
Sure. Yeah.
So kind of a little bit of both.
Yeah. And I lost my father unexpectedly in 2022. And same thing, he had some health issues, but he was actually recovering really, really well from what he was doing. And unfortunately just passed away suddenly. And when you don't have a father, because you were close with your father,
Yeah.
I was close with my father. When you don't have a father who is there and is present, you can pick up the phone, you can call them all the time, and they're no longer there. That's tough.
Mhm.
That's hard. I don't know about you, but I went through just a significant amount of grieving, trying to process, letting go, and trying to find other ways that I could honor my father and things that would be therapeutic in helping me in my healing.
Yeah. It's interesting too. Like, luckily I was so close with him, and anyone that knows him, like, he was such a character. He was so funny. And so we have so many fun stories about him and fun memories. And like, then even now, almost, so July will be 2 years, stuff pops up that you didn't even remember. And it's like something small, but it's so special now. The things that pop up are just awesome. Or somebody else, you realize they knew him, or they tell you a story you'd never heard, and like, getting to keep their memory alive that way is nice, because it's weird how grief hits you out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But then having someone like my dad, where then something else pops into your head that like makes you laugh and smile,
Yeah.
helps a lot. Or like, he got Brinkley, like books was a big thing for him. And so she has a lot of books from him, and he hand wrote a note inside of each one of them. And so now that she can read, she reads those notes from him, and
Yes.
it's just so cute to
Yes. To have that. Yeah, my father did little things like that with my kids. And it's kind of the same thing. You know, my daughter has a hat, his fishing hat. My son has one of my dad's favorite fishing lures. And so just having some of that stuff with them, it brings back those memories, and they're good memories. And my father would be, I mean, we all grieve, right? But my dad would be like, okay, you know what? Enough's enough. Get out there, keep doing what you're doing, you know. But it's sad because we miss them.
yeah.
And one of the things that I had read in a devotional right after my father passed away is that losing a close loved one is like losing a limb off of your body. It's like losing an arm. You know it's no longer there. You know when you go to family functions or when you try to do things that you used to do, you're not going to be able to do it the same way.
Mhm.
but life goes on and you learn to eventually manage without having that arm or having that leg. And it's difficult and it's hard, but you adapt and you learn to finally, make your way through it. And that actually brought me a lot of peace there in that time because it really resonated with me. I love using analogies. You ask people that are close to me, they're like, yeah, he does it too much. But the analogy of that, it just really hit home because it's like, yeah, it kind of is like that. We're going to family get-togethers and he's not present anymore. But when we're there, we talk about, hey, you remember when I used to have my arm? I used to do this. The same with my dad. Remember when dad used to be here?
Yeah.
We used to do this or this. And we try to keep those traditions alive and do things that my father would enjoy. And I'm sure you guys do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many stories, especially when we get to golf and you hear guys that worked with him or golfed with him, or like I played league with him a lot of years when I lived there, like in high school, and then when I'd be home from college in the summers, we'd play tournaments, play league, and so just like sharing all those stories with people, and and then the kids like sharing stories with them, or Brinkley like remembers she didn't get to she got to spend a lot of time around when we were in Billings. And so she has some memories that she still remembers with him, and like she loves looking at pictures with him. There's a picture of them on my background right here. She has his hat on.
Aww.
And then that t-shirt that he's wearing in that picture, there's a lady in Williston that will make like bears out of that. So her and Gage both have a bear made out of that t-shirt.
I love that
they get to have.
I love that. My wife was really close with her grandfather, and when he passed away, he had one heck of a t-shirt collection. And so my wife's sister actually would make quilts with all the t-shirts.
So I have with the rest of mine, it's like his Bears t-shirts and Rolling Stones because he's a Bears fan. We did a lot of concerts, like besides golf, music, concerts was another thing. So I have a blanket that I sleep with every night that's like a bunch of his t-shirts. And it's funny that things that like are zero, like it would be weird to other people. You kept it, like my dad's lunchbox when we were going through stuff. His lunchbox was in his room where he had all his sports memorabilia because he loved baseball cards and collecting all sorts of sports stuff. And it was just, I would walk down to the power plant with my mom a lot growing up, walk home with him because he walked to work almost every single day for almost 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's a physical job there.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd go walk with him, like short little me trying to keep up with things and walk fast. So now I walk fast and people are like, slow down. And I'm like, it's just how I am. Sorry. But like his lunchbox was such a like core memory of my childhood. And so I asked my stepmom, I'm like, can I take his lunchbox? And he still had like his thing of toothpicks in there, some gum. He'd been retired for like, I think 5 or 7 years. But he just like, it was like his last day. He just put his cup that he always kept in there that fell up. It was like he had just retired like the day before. So I have his lunchbox and it's super special to me.
Oh, that's so cool. And it's something that you can pass down to your kids that they'll remember as well.
Yeah, and I think about that with Heath's because Heath has like a big tough lunchbox like that he takes to work. And Brinkley, our daughter, always brings him a stuffed animal to take to work with him in his lunchbox. And he's the best because he'll like sacrifice room for his food in his lunchbox to fit her stuffed animal in there. And I'm just like, it also puts it in perspective for us as parents. And I remind Heath of this because we are fortunate to still have his parents and my mom. And his parents are amazing. But it helps a perspective for me to be like, hey, this stuff that we think is little ends up being such a huge thing for them. Like them wanting to go to the hardware store to grab stuff with him. I'm like, those little things I do with my dad that he probably had no idea were special are really special.
They're really special.
Yeah.
I've adapted in the last few years to when my son wants to go do something with me to saying, yes, let's go do it. Even if I don't think it's something that I really like, I don't know that he'll really want to be there with, let's do it. Because when you're gone, you have little trinkets of things that you keep on, but we're not talking like, oh, dad left his Escalade and I, drove the Escalade. Now I have it. I mean, we're not talking wealth stuff. We're talking little trinkets of stuff that, like the lunchbox, that bring memories out, and you now have that, and it creates those memories. Because when someone's gone, that's all that's left is the memories. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the things I've tried to do is when my son says, "Yeah, I just want to go with you, Dad." Okay, come, because it may not be special to me. It's just, all right, I'm running to the store and he wants to go. But you never know when something's going to happen that's so memorable to him that will change, how he thinks or how he feels or something that he'll remember for a long time. So, yeah. Now that you mentioned that, I'm like, I remember lots of times I, jumped in the car and went with my dad somewhere. And that was one of the things my father did a lot with me. One of the first things that my dad would do is I'd say, well, yeah, I got to go out of town. I did this job. I got to go monitor it. Hey, you want me to ride along with you? He was retired because of some injuries, so he's kind of like a forced retirement. I'm sure. Like, why would my dad want to ride with me up to? I think at this time it was somewhere out in Roundup. It's just going with me. He wanted to be with me. He wanted to take a ride with me, and oftentimes he would come down to, not. He passed away a month after we moved into this office. Not even a month after we moved into this building. Um, but at our old location, he would stop by unannounced all the time and just come in and he'd have his coffee cup and just want to sit and shoot the breeze with the boys, so, or me, or he'd come in and I'd miss him because I'd be out on a job and I'd come back and some of my staff, Darren would be like, oh yeah, your dad was here. Oh, okay. Yeah, he sat around and talked. We talked football, we talked hunting, we talked stuff for a while. And I'm just, I have good memories of just my dad being present like that. So,
Yeah, same with my, like, especially when, working at the power plant, it wasn't a job where he could just leave if he wanted to all the time. But man, he showed up every time he possibly could for games, school stuff. I remember doing when in Colstrip, I don't know if other schools do this. We did a wax museum in 6th grade. Every year when you were in 6th grade, you got to do a wax museum, pick like a famous character from history. And I was Anne Frank. And I just remember looking over and seeing him, like he came from work, like he still had his skull cap on from under his hard hat and his like he had like cool safety glasses. Like he looked really cool at work. Even when I worked there, I was like, dang, my dad is cool. Because I worked there in 2 summers in college.
Okay.
And it was cool because I got to work with him. But I just remember like seeing him there and it's like, he would show up no matter what. He surprised me at state golf my senior year. I was like walking up a fairway and looked over and I didn't think he could be there. Like, that's the most special stuff. Or like when I worked here at the jewelry store, he'd come in. He loved candy stores, milkshakes. Like he was a sweets guy. And so we would go over and our lunch would be milkshakes at Candy Town. And
That's so awesome.
he was literally a kid in a candy store his whole life. So
that is special moments like that. And about a month ago, I was fortunate enough that my daughter and I got to make a moment together where we got to go to the Final Four down in San Antonio. And it's 3-4 hours from where we live. And we're both Duke fans. She follows more women's basketball. It was the Final Four. And the Duke cheerleaders and the band were coming out and we were right by the tunnel where they're coming out, and we see this cheerleader and she's waving to my daughter, and my daughter's really excited because my daughter's a teenager, but she's still geeking out that one of the head cheerleaders from Duke is waving at her, and and then all of a sudden we see her attention turn, and then we see her go, oh my God. She starts jumping up and down and she runs over to the side, and it's high, and this guy comes down the steps towards her, and he couldn't get down on the floor, but she jumps up and they touch each other's hands. It was her dad. So she's a senior cheerleader at Duke. This was it. Like the Final Four was the last of her being able to cheer, and her dad had made it. But what was special about it is her dad didn't have a ticket to go, so he was just going to try to find a ticket somewhere. And the likelihood that he would be, we asked her afterwards, she's like, I didn't know where he was going to be. I knew he was going to be here, but I didn't know where and how he was going to be able to find me. Anyways, the likelihood that he would find that tunnel that they were coming out of and have a ticket right there and happen to see his daughter coming out. And so we witnessed one of those moments. And afterwards I turned to him and I said, that is the coolest thing ever. And he said, my daughter will remember that the rest of her life. Yep. And so will I.
Yep.
And so when you're talking about your dad being there, I just get goosebumps because of stuff like that. I see that you post pictures of your kids and Heath, and you've made comments. This guy just got done working a 12-hour shift. He's tired. He's exhausted. Instead of coming home and showering and being like, I'm done for the day, I'm going to veg on the couch, he's going and being a father to the kids. He's going on bike rides with them or walks with them or doing things with him. And that is so cool to see because we don't see that so much anymore. I'm guilty of it. I go home, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. I take a shower, I eat dinner, and then I'm on the couch. And then my kids are like, yeah, you want to do something? I'm like, yeah, let's watch some TV together. Let's watch a movie together. Yeah, come over and sit by me. But I've had a shift in the last year or so where I've tried to not be that person. I've tried to say, okay, what do you guys want to go do? You want to go swimming? Let's go swimming. You want to You want to go shoot hoops? Let's go do whatever you want to do. Let's try to do that where I can make memories with you,
Yeah.
doing things like that. And your kids may not realize it now, but those are memories that are going to stay in their mind because I still have memories of my dad doing things like that and my mom doing things with me when I was a kid like that. So I've never met Heath. He's not a very ego-driven person.
I like to make him uncomfortable and give him lots of props on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. But if it wasn't for those props on Facebook, people wouldn't know about what he's doing. I just think it's cool. And so kudos to him and shout out to him because and you never asked me to even bring this up, but it's just something I see and I love seeing that.
I'm not perfect at it, but like trying to always get better at it.
Yeah.
Sometimes where I just put my phone somewhere else and like go be present because I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I'm with them all the time though, but it's like that doesn't mean I'm not making it all as much quality
Yeah.
time as I should because I work on it. So it's like
Yeah, your
finding
business.
that balance and
Yes,
separation.
because your business is on social media.
Yeah, now 2 businesses.
Yeah, 2 businesses. And that's exciting. What's going on with this second business that you guys are doing?
So
Tell us about that because I'm excited. I'm excited about it.
yeah, right now furniture. That's the other thing about Heath is he's like incredibly talented. He's like one of those people, not only at sports stuff, he's just good at stuff like he can figure out how to do anything. And one thing I want to say with like the husband and dad part of it with him is like I don't ever share that to like be like, oh, my husband's better than someone else. I hope that it never comes off that way, but it's like
I don't think it does.
know so many people who like feel like people tell them, oh well, that's just you just settle like marriages and relationships just get boring. It's like, yeah, you always be working, but like I want people to realize like don't settle because I purposely waited for someone like that. And you also have to be not that I'm even close to perfect, but like you have to be that person back.
Right.
It's like I hope seeing that inspires other people to be like,
Right.
no, don't settle. Like
Don't
there
settle,
are
yeah.
men like that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I think that I don't think it comes across that way at all. I think that to me it comes across as you are giving your husband props.
Yeah.
You are giving your husband, you are in a lot of relationships going both ways, men and women, we don't communicate well together sometimes. And sometimes we're not talking well. We're not pouring into each other. And so sometimes as a wife or a husband, it's nice to hear from your spouse.
Yeah.
That, you know what? Oh, wow. Because sometimes it is hard for us it's not hard for me and it's not hard for my wife. I'm just talking in general, people in general. Sometimes it is hard for them to say, I love you or show them that I love you. And if you've never read the book by Gary Chapman, 5 Languages of Love or the 5 Love Languages, it's a fantastic book because it teaches you that there are 5 languages of love and people, yours may be quality time, his may be acts of service, and that tends to change throughout life as well.
Yeah.
And so having words of affirmation, and I think that's the word I was looking for. Men sometimes don't say that they need that, but some men, it's really important. I know my wife loves me. She tells me she loves me, but hearing her or seeing her give me words of affirmation to other people, sometimes it fills our cup up. It makes us feel like we are valued. And I think it goes both ways because I have a lot of guy friends and people in my life that have guy relationships with their wives, and they're not pouring into their wife. They're not telling their wife that she's doing things well. I think both people in the relationships need to see it and hear it.
Yeah.
And so I know Heath's not big on social media, but for you to do what you're doing, it really it's inspiring because that is pouring back into him. And I don't think we do enough of that. I think there is, you're right, where there is, it's like, oh, look at my husband. Isn't he the greatest? And they are doing it for the attention, or they're doing it because they want, you to think this. But I think there's really a lot of other people where it truly is like, no, I'm doing this for my husband. I want people to see that my husband is valuable. And I'm doing this because I want him to also know that I care about him and I appreciate him and I love him. And again, it goes both ways too.
And to really just like kind of fight back against the whole just like when the honeymoon phase is over, it's just normal for marriage to be like boring or unhappy or whatever. And I'm just like, no, like obviously you always go through phases and seasons, but I also, like I said, I want to show to other people what's out there because for me, that was what got me to leave a long-term relationship where nothing was like really bad, but I just was like, no, there's got to be more. And it was because I saw relationships and marriages like my brother and his wife who they've been married for over 10 years now, maybe 15 now, And still, you'd think they just met. And so it's like me seeing that from other people was
Yeah.
what made me be like, no, I'm waiting for something like that. And so I hope that I get to help someone else do that same thing. Because
Yeah.
obviously, who you choose to marry and have kids with is like the most important decision that you make.
Well, absolutely. And I think, and look, I got a lot of friends that have also met the wrong person or thought that it was the right person, and then people change and things
Mhm.
happen. And so, I'm not throwing shade at people that have been divorced. I mean, sometimes there are just reasons that it happens, and
Yeah.
you do that. But I also do feel like it is easy for people in our society today to just say, you know what? You're no longer that shiny object I want anymore. And so I have one over here,
Mhm.
and I'm going to go see if the grass is greener on the other side. People just don't put in the work that they need to
Yeah.
or that they used to, because when I said I do, I meant it.
Yeah.
I meant like, this is it. I want to make this work the rest of my life. And if somebody, as long as both people are willing to do that, you know, but in some situations, you don't put in 100%. And
Yeah.
like you said, the honeymoon phase is over. And yeah, Jen and I have so many couples in our lives, and they're like, you guys go do date nights? You guys go do date lunches? You guys do this? Well, yeah,
We like each other.
we like each other. We like to be around each other. Actually, this is the longest, and by the time I get home, it'll be 10 or 11 days. It's the longest I've been without my wife by my side. I think the longest we went before was like 6 or 7 days. So for both of us, it's just like killing us. What's happening is like we miss each other. We want to be around each other. And we call each other and we're like, oh, it's 3 more days, 2 more days. And that's a relationship where two people really love each other and really
Yeah.
want to be with each other. But you're right. So many times it's like, oh, the honeymoon's over. Okay, well, now we're just going to settle into a normal routine where it's get up, get the kids ready, we go to work, we come home, we take the kids to sports, and the kids take the priority, and then there is no relationship anymore, and there's no sparks, and then there's no chemistry. And
Yeah.
once that starts happening, that's where bad things start happening.
We got these tattoos like 3 days after we got married, and then the H that's on the back of my arm is the same one that he has on the back of his arm. He's like, you got tattooed. What if something happens? I'm like, it's not going to.
It's not going to. Yeah. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same with us. I have Jen's initials. It's an N, and then it goes into a heart, and then J. And I have it on my back, and she has the exact same on her back.
Oh, nice.
So yeah. So, and people are the same. They're like, oh, once you put your spouse's, anything of your spouse, or even girlfriend or fiance, whatever it may be, once you tattoo it, it's over. And I'm just like, it's not. Like, I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, it's meant to be there.
It's meant to be there forever. Yeah, exactly. Well, what if one of yous die? Well, then I have something to, I mean, I guess I didn't want to go down that hole and be so morbid, but I have been asked that question before, and I'm like, well, then I guess it'll be there for memories. And
she was still my wife.
She was still my wife. I mean, you can't negate that. We had a life together,
Yeah.
So, well, what if you die and Jen moves on, and well, then, and her husband doesn't like that? Then Jen gets to deal with
Not
that.
to be my problem.
I'm gone. I'm fishing with Dad in heaven. I'm good. So let's talk though. Let's move into that. I took this a whole different direction, which I usually do. It's just how I am. But furniture, you were starting to talk about this new venture that Heath and yourself are journeying down. And I've seen some pictures. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, he does incredible stuff. So it started as a part-time, like kind of hobby side gig thing when we lived here in Billings, because he started building some furniture for us, and then some people wanted stuff, and he built more. And then once we moved, we actually even had like wedding rentals here, like benches and arches and stuff like that. And I think someone in town still uses them. We sold them to someone, and they like rent them out.
Sure.
But yeah, recently he started building stuff in North Dakota, built a pulpit for our church, and it kind of sparked his like want to do it again. And we'd looked for other businesses to start so that we could both work for ourselves and like, have full like time freedom to make our own schedules.
Yes.
And nothing else was really like working out, coming to our mind, and like feeling like it was that thing. Like we were praying about what we should do, if these other things were the right options. And then this is just, once we decided to go all in on it, it is just taken off so far.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
He does the building, I do the business part. We're also going to be adding powder coating to it because since part of the pieces are usually metal, like we do a lot of live edge dining tables, the bases are usually metal. He welds them and everything. Like he does every single part of it. But it's hard to find powder coating. So Heath was like, I'll just order the stuff and learn how to do it myself. So we're going to start doing that too, to be able to in-house powder coat our own stuff, and then also do, people's wheels, bumpers, whatever.
Bumpers, whatever they need. I love that. And that is an entrepreneur. I don't know how to do it. I'm going to learn how to do it, and then I'm going to keep doing it until I do it great over and over again.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of how he started. Like, he grew up in Jordan, Montana.
Okay.
And small town. He's
Very.
like, we couldn't just obviously like run to a store when we needed something. And his grandpa still works on stuff around Jordan, does stuff that we're like, you shouldn't be doing that.
You should be, shouldn't you be like retired now and not doing stuff anymore?
Probably not the most. And so that's how we learned all that stuff from, was like his dad and his grandpa doing carpentry stuff, and then he actually went to school for welding. And yeah, he just is one of those people that figures out how to do pretty much literally anything.
Yes.
He used to build houses, so it's like he can build a house minus the plumbing and electrical, like all the other stuff. It's just super handy.
And that obviously opens the door for what he's doing now. So the name of the business is...
So
I know, I know you were thinking about maybe changing some stuff.
So I actually this weekend I'm like trying to come up with a post in my head. I was thinking about on the way here. Right now it's H&K Home Furnishing is Heath and Kristen.
Sure.
My daughter was asking me that the other day. What's the H&K? That's me and Dad's initials. But because it's going to be also powder coating, we're trying to figure out what exactly to change it to that would kind of incorporate all that, and not hopefully like people wouldn't lose us that already know our past name. So I'm like, do I keep the HK part? Do we do something totally different? So we're trying to figure out that, but soon we'll be.
H&K Furnishings and Coatings.
So I've had some pretty good ones. Like I thought about like we're probably going to take the and out and do like HK. And I thought of like HK slab and steel and a couple, but he wants it to be even shorter, like HK and then like one word. So we might do HK elements.
The task is quite tall with that one. You're trying to take furnishings, powder coats, all this stuff and combine it into one word.
I know. So our other option is to like take the HK away and use Bold from Herbold, like Bold and Co. or like Bold Crafted or something like that.
Oh yeah, that might be a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, anybody out there that is listening or watching, if you have an idea, drop it. Let us know. Send it over, because I think Kristen would take a look at that. So. And
if you need furniture.
And if you need furniture, and if you want to check out some of these pieces, I know you've been posting them on Instagram and on Facebook. And if you know Kristen, she'll put the pieces on. She'll tell you about it. It's kind of like with Arbonne. She's explaining, this is the product that we have launching, or this is the product I'm using now. So you're going to get a lot of great information on that. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see that stuff, because when you build something like that, you're putting your sweat, your heart, and your tears and your passion into that. And I love that. I absolutely love that. And quite frankly, if my name didn't, Faithful did not come from me. I did not come up with Faithful.
No?
No. My wife and I started as a house cleaning company. I actually started as my neighbor was cleaning people's houses. I'd been in the restaurant industry for over 6 years. I wanted out. My dad had been in the restaurant industry for a long time before going into, actually, he went and got his degree. He actually became a counselor with a teaching degree. And before my dad left to do that, he'd been in the restaurant industry for many, many years. And for those that are listening in Billings, he was one of the managers and at sometimes the general manager of Happy Diner, which for decades was a place that people loved going here in town. He told me, Nick, you don't want to be in the restaurant industry the rest of your life. I had offers, actually down in Texas, Jen and I had offers. I had offers to get my own store numerous times. Texas, Colorado. We didn't want to move back then. And I knew that it would be burning me out. So I had a neighbor, she's doing house cleaning. She's doing really well with it. And I thought, there's something I could go and do where I'm really good at it. My wife would call me the cleaning Nazi, because I'm like, that's not how you do it. We pick it up, we dust it off, we dust underneath it, then we put it back down. I learned more from my grandma. I think actually, I would say that my grandma probably taught me more. I thought, I'm going to start this cleaning company. And as I'm telling my wife about this, by the way, our only child at the time is 6 months old. And I'm telling her I'm going to leave the stability of the restaurant industry with tips and go and start my own business where I no longer have tips and I don't know what I'm going to do or how I'm going to do it. I just feel like God's leading me to do this. And she said, Nick, a male cleaning people's houses, She's like, I just don't see it. And I said, well, I'm just going to have a lot of faith in God that it's going to work. And she said, well, that can be your name, Faithful. And it was kind of meant as a joke, you know, but,
Here
and
we
it,
are.
here we are. And it's not so much that my wife didn't like, well, let's be totally honest. She didn't see it, but she didn't. I just don't know where this is going to go. I just don't know if this is going to work. And we don't have those conversations anymore because now it's like, okay, if God's leading you to do this, then you feel led and I'm going to pray with you. I'm going to walk beside you and let's go.
Yeah.
But in the early stages of our marriage, it was like, what? You're going to do that? What? How are we going to pay bills? How are we going to do this? And so, she came up with the name and I said, okay, we're going to be Faithful. Yeah. So we started as Faithful Housekeeping, went to be known as Faithful Cleaning Company, morphed to Cleaning and Restoration. And then people thought we were janitorial. So we dropped the cleaning and just became Faithful Disaster Restoration. If I come up with an idea, she may question it. She'll be like, but half the time I don't even tell her about the ideas anymore until I'm like already deep into them. And then she's like, okay, yeah, no, I guess if that's,
You
so
already did it.
yeah, you already did. Like I even told her, like when I was going to start this podcast, I said, something's just been on my heart that I'm supposed to start a podcast. And she's like, oh, okay. And I said, yeah, look, I had Corey make up a design. Oh, you made a design. And a good friend of ours who used to work with us at Faithful, is fantastic at coming up with stuff. And so she does all my logos, everything. She's amazing. She's so creative. I was like, yeah, I already had Corey. What do you think? And we have a couple different mocks and she's like, oh, so you're doing this. I said, yeah, I'm doing this. And she's like, well, who all knows about it? And I was like, well, I've told like Carlo and I told Clark and I told Darren and Corey and and started naming all these people. And she's like, and you don't tell me, but at the end of the day, it's because she just knows that like, okay, or I'm like, well, I thought I told you. But it's just, I follow what I feel like, doing and I go with it. So you mentioned that you feel like God's pushing you down this road. And that's exciting because being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart. Being an entrepreneur, there's times where it's just like it is heavy on you. But it's fun for me to look back and say, "Oh wow, look at where we used to be. Look at where we are now. Look at the road I'm on now. Look at where I used to be." And so it's really fun to when you get to these mountaintops and to look back and say, "Look at what I just accomplished. Look at where I used to be. I used to be on that small mountain that's way, way over there. Now I'm onto this bigger peak." And then something happens, God shakes you up, and you come down that into another
Something
valley,
else you need to learn.
and then you start learning, and then you start climbing that next one. And I say this all the time: life is peaks and valleys. I think business is extremely peaks and valleys because of an entrepreneur. A lot of times it's either really good or it's really bad. And there's no in between. It's like, oh my God, how are we gonna make payroll next week? We're gonna go under. And then it's like, oh yeah, no,
buying a beach house.
yeah. Now it's like, yeah. I'm buying a beach house now. So it's got its differences. So I'm excited to watch you and Heath in this journey and see where you both go because you're super talented. He's got a lot of talent and you've got a lot of knowledge. And so I think that you both make a really good team on it. So I'm going to be excited to see what you create and what you come up with, which leads me into my next question. What is next for Kristen? What are the big plans that you have when you think about where you want to be 3 years or even 5 years?
So, I mean, this will be a big, especially in the next few years, getting our business up and going. And it's cool that, like, in my Arbonne business, it's reaching a huge milestone right now at the same time that we're starting this because it's going to make him stepping full time into our business a lot easier.
Sure.
So, really getting that going because we want to grow it to where soon, I mean, even now, where we can like deliver things to other parts of North Dakota, into Montana, South Dakota, and like, really start to branch out.
Texas.
I mean, we can ship stuff to Texas, but I'll tell you that shipping furniture is not.
Oh, I know. Trust me, I know.
But we will. I mean, we'll ship anywhere if people want to pay for it.
Yeah,
For sure.
that's the problem. But it's no different than if you order a custom piece of furniture that is not a mass produced one. I'm talking
Yeah.
like a custom piece. It doesn't matter. You're going to pay to ship it.
Yeah, and that's what all of these are. I mean, every once in a while, when he maybe has some extra time, he'll start working on something we would build and just sell. But so far, everything that he does is custom style, type of wood, size. I mean, it's fully custom. So yeah, that's our end goal is to start, branching out to other places where we are shipping stuff, and we have employees, and we get to like really build it past just us. And then that I get to also keep building my business to where there's not an end point with it, because watching women in Arbonne who've done it for 20, 30 plus years and could have left years ago and been fine, and they keep doing it because they know there's still more people that they can help. And if they stop, what people are praying for what they could help them with.
Yeah.
And if they stop, that doesn't happen. I mean, some of them, I'm like, if they would have stopped, chances are I would have never been introduced to it. And then I wouldn't have got to introduce all these people to it. So with my business, like there's not an end goal with it. It's like just to keep going and keep helping people. And, you know, Brinkley tells me she wants to do it with me someday. So
Oh, how awesome.
which I'm like, I never want to push her into that, but it's like, there's
Right.
a lot of moms and daughters who do it. And I'm like, I hope she wants to work with me, and we're like going on trips together, and that would be so cool. So
And trips together, that's amazing, because Arbonne gives you opportunities to make trips
Mhm.
and earn them.
yeah, I'm working on, so I've earned Punta Cana, which unfortunately we were on our way there and a hurricane ruined. And then I'm working on finishing out earning Tulum. And then when you become an NVP, which is the top, like 0.5%, it's the top level, they send you on an all expenses paid trip to Maui every year for a leadership conference
That
for you and a +1.
Oh, well, so you and Heath.
Yeah, or like one of my leaders, she took her daughter this year, who's 8, I think 7 or 8, and she was like, obviously it's cool to be in Hawaii, but she was like, just to like see my daughter make friends with the other kids there and just be so excited that we got to go on this trip together, and tell me like, thank you for working so hard. Like having your kid tell you that is pretty dang cool, because
Yeah.
they came from not being able to like hardly pay bills to now a life where not only you're impacting people through their health and like growing people as a leader, but like changing your own life in such a huge way. There's so many aspects to it that are, and then even in the furniture business, like we're getting to build pieces that are like heirloom pieces for families,
Yes.
because they're really well built, nice custom things. And so to see someone like want us to build something for their home that's so important and special is also really cool.
I love it. That's exciting, and it really opens up so many possibilities for you in the future. So the growth over the next few years is going to be fun to see, and that's what the future is for you. Is just keep doing what you're doing, keep establishing this new business, and seeing where God leads you on that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm like, when you were talking about the stuff earlier with like it being scary, it's like, but when you're in those valleys or you're scared to start something, but you know it's what he's pushing you towards, like with this, it took off when we announced we were going to do it again. We got asked to do this home and garden show. We got put right in a spot in our booth that was next to people who gave us incredible connections. All of it just came together where you're just like, okay, like I get it. This was the thing.
This was meant to be.
So
That's exciting.
it's so cool to see that. And then I homeschool too, so we'll probably keep doing that.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yep, and that's been
And there's a big connection of people that homeschool, and
yeah.
I know here in Billings, they do classes and stuff together, and so there's a huge network. And if you have the ability and the time to do that, that's amazing. I
never thought I would be, because I'm like not a patient person. I'm better than I used to be, but if you would have told me like even 2 years ago that I was going to homeschool, I would have laughed so hard in your face.
Mm-hmm.
But it helps that. So Gage, he's only 3, he's almost 4. So I'm going to start like school work with him.
Yeah.
Brinkley loves it. And it's been honestly really fun, like really easy and simple. I know that will change, and like there's days that are not,
Sure.
but it's gone well so far. And there's a huge homeschool community in Williston.
That's so cool. We had talked years ago, probably right around COVID, about moving our kids into homeschooling. And we actually met with some different families. They actually had this get together where they were given more information about it, because during COVID, so many people were looking at that option. And we had looked at that, we had considered it. But at the end of the day, it became, okay, Jen would have to be the one doing the bulk of it, because I'm out working. The business at the time was still really, really growing. Was still involved in day-to-day operations, maybe not as much as I had been, but I was still involved heavily. And so we just made the decision that it's probably not going to work well for us. I think Jen might have killed the kids. Honestly, I really do. I think she might have killed the kids if we did that. So I think it was probably a blessing in disguise that we did it. But for some people that can manage doing that and have the, because she doesn't have the patience, I don't have the patience. So it's cool because my mom, she'll travel around between the three of us, my two sisters and I. If there's something that Camden wants me to help him with, there's sometimes where he's like, I'm just gonna go to grandma because she was a school teacher for 40 years.
Oh, nice.
So she's retired. He goes to grandma. And I was asked him one day, I was like, why do you like going to grandma over me? Because grandma was a teacher and she's patient. Okay. My 9-year-old son is telling me that. And he was telling me this when he was 8. So at that point, you're like, okay, go to grandma.
I know we'll see how it goes when I start with Gage, because he's just more like him and Brinkley are total opposites. He does love learning stuff, but we'll see how it goes. But I think definitely, at least while we're still there, we'll homeschool. Just
And he's a boy.
they
Boy,
live differently.
it's different. It's different. It's
Yeah.
different. And not in a bad way. It's just there's different energy.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah. So for now, that's for at least probably the next couple or few years. That's what we'll do, and then kind of adjust as we go. But that's the plan for now.
Excellent. Well, we've spent some great time together. I know that you're gonna need to get going so you can get up to the mountains and enjoy your weekend for what you're down here for. So, Arbonne.
Yes.
I know there's lots of people out there that might be curious about it, might want to just, whether to sell it or just to see what kind of products you have or how you can help them. If it's something that they're interested in, would it be best just to have them reach out directly to you?
Yeah. On my Facebook page or yeah, I would love to talk to people, especially for one, if they are interested in products, so that I can have a conversation about their goals, because we do have so many different things. It can be
Right.
overwhelming. It's like whether you're wanting to do nutrition or like clean makeup or just replace like your body wash, because people are starting to learn, like we talked about last time,
It's horrible.
how many bad things are like
Yeah.
whatever it is they're interested in. And even if someone never wants to buy products, like I still want to help people with like what to get at the grocery store, what to avoid. Like I want to, if anyone has just questions on the gut health or health things, fitness stuff in general, I'm more than happy to help. I'm not only going to help people if they buy something from me. I've used and loved the products for 5 years, and I've watched them change my life drastically and so many people's. So obviously I'm passionate about doing that, because
Yeah.
they make it so much easier. Like driving down here today, I'm like, oh, I just got to grab my Fizz and Greens packets and a little protein and just put them in with water, instead of dropping $20 at the gas station on stuff that is going to make me feel like crap and isn't good for me.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it makes it
And it'll
easier.
gain weight and all that.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Full of preservatives.
Yeah, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm here to answer any and all questions.
I love that. And we're definitely going to bring you back on because people are saying, I'm not getting enough of that.
Yeah.
Well, I love that so much. And it's not me. They don't tune in for me. They tune in for the guests, right? I mean, half the time they're probably like, okay, Nick, shut up, let them go. But they tune in to hear what my guests have to say. And so I definitely am going to bring you on
I'd love that.
again. They're just interested in your knowledge. And that's a way for you to be able to continue to help people and educate them, because some people are, hey, I'm ready to change my life. I'm willing, I'm ready to do this. And other people, they need a little more nudging, or they need to really see it, or they need to understand who they're learning from first and get to know who you are a little bit. So
Yeah, and there's not a one size fits all thing. Some people
No.
are ready to just change everything at once. Some people need to build habits onto each other. And so it's nice to be able to get to have someone to work one-on-one with, and it's not so overwhelming, because there's so much information and programs and
it
things
becomes
out there.
overload.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. We don't want
love
that. Okay. Well, that's excellent. I love to leave my podcast audience with same two things I typically say. New people are listening all the time, so they might not hear what I've said before. But two pieces of advice I love to leave my guests with. First one is love everyone always, which you do a great job of doing. You're passionate about your products, and part of loving people is exposing them to benefits that could help them have a better quality of life, have more energy to spend with their family. You could learn about being a consultant, have more time with your family. So you're pouring your love into this business because you truly love helping people.
Yep.
So you already do a great job of that. And then the other piece of advice, may the best of your past be the worst of your future.
I love that. I've never heard that before.
Yeah. And somebody actually asked me, Nick, can you go into a little more detail on that? So I'm going to just do a little nugget of detail on it. So when I tell people, may the best of your past be the worst of your future, what I'm saying is whatever's happened in your past, whatever that height, whatever the pinnacle of it was, maybe it's getting married, maybe it's getting that new job, maybe it was having kids, whatever that high was, I want whatever happens in your future, I want that to be the worst of it.
Yeah, imagine that being
So
your low point.
that's your low point. So it's all even more scalable and up from there. That's what I want from people.
I love
And
that.
so I had a couple people that were like, I don't quite understand what you're saying. Are you telling me that you want the best of my past to be the worst of my future? Like you just want bad things for me? And I'm like, you're not thinking, no. You're not. It's getting really philosophical. So you got to go deep here. And I'm like, highs, I want your past highs to be the lowest that you've ever had because I want so many great things for you in your future. So I'm excited to see what you and Heath do in the future. I'm excited to be able to share these episodes and see how you can help benefit people through Arbonne, see how you can help give people knowledge and just pour into people's lives. So thanks for being a guest today. I really appreciate the time.
Thank you for having me. I love this.
Me too.